Welcome to Photoshop Adjustments. This tutorial will look at the Curves adjustment, next over from Levels. It's very similar to Levels and even Contrast. So select the Curves, and what you get is the histogram in a background, a black to white bar on the bottom and the side, and a strange y equals x kind of line right here. So what this lets you do is adjust each point on the histogram from this color setting to this brightness setting. And the way you do this is click on any point on the line. This creates a point, and I believe you get up to 16 points, and then you can drag this point around. So what it's doing right now, what I just did, is I set the color or the brightness from right over here that corresponds to this point to whatever the brightness is over here on this point. And so what we can do is, for example, if I create a second point and drag the darker regions, let's say, make the darker regions a little brighter, we get a less saturated image. Likewise, we can get a very desaturated image if I take the lighter points and decrease them. On contrast, I can obviously create higher contrast if I just slightly take one point in the brighter regions and bring it up a little bit, and the other point in the dark regions and bring it down. And you'll notice the original line stays there the entire time. Now, if you don't like your edits, all you have to do is press Command or Control and click on your dot, and that removes them. You can work with this to really affect the entire image. So I can pull this over so that all of this region is white. And then we can play around and work a little bit. The way you can think of this is if I create 3 dots, is here we have the blacks. This controls all the blackest elements of the picture, the darkest elements. Here we have the whites, so the brightest elements. This is the highlights, so the brighter regions. This controls the shadows, or the darker regions. And this controls the midpoints. And so each one kind of controls each element. Now I will undo all of that. You can also use curves to control color balance in an image. For example, this picture looks a little bit on the blue side. So what I can do is select this RGB and select blue, and I can work with the blue here to slightly redden the image a little bit. So we'll create 2 dots, and you'll notice if I pull it up, it'll become more blue. So I want to pull it downwards just a little bit. And so if I pull it down not too much, you'll notice it becomes a little greener. So I might have to play around with the green channel later. And if I bring the highlights down, you'll kind of notice it becomes a little yellower, versus if I bring them up, it still has a cleaner touch, but it's still a little blue. So just a little bit. And if we want to see how that looks, you can notice just a tiny, especially bit around the faces, it becomes a little more yellower, kind of a more yellow sun feel to it, rather than the cool lighting that we have here. And so you can also work with the green, and maybe take the green down just a little bit. And now we have overall a redder image. That is the basics of how to use curves. Again, if you don't like it, just click the trash. Otherwise, there's your curve edited picture.